risky given how many tankier counter picks we've seen come out, but for Knight, the level he executes at makes the champion always feel relevant, always feel strong, so it's not surprising to see him pick it here.
Well, and it's kind of indicative of the two teams' styles, right? Knight wants to be this dominant carry force for Yagao. He is more of that supportive role. You know, he could be going towards things like the Galio, like the Veigar. Those were hugely in his comfort picks. Lissandra also a good answer, something that he can play. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him continue to play that more supportive role where Knight is going to want to be proactive on the map and really try to make things happen.
Especially if you take something like the Jinx here, you can go towards something like the Veigar, contain the Ahri to a certain extent, and then just make sure you got the range advantage when you come into these team fights. And Yagao has definitely been someone who's excelled when it comes to, hey, can I control the pace of this team fight with picks like the Veigar and the Galio? So I'm curious if that is going to be the game plan here coming into this best of 5.
And you called it the Jinx. It's the preferred side of the Jinx Aphelios matchup. It seems like BLG agree with you. They grab the Jinx, they grab the Lulu. Pretty hard to contest this bottom lane in terms of just raw meta value. You can match with the range support. Maybe you pick up something like a Thresh, but it feels pretty cut and dry for JDG here to just pick a bot lane for themselves.
Also the opportunity to go towards the Blitzcrank here if you want to, though. That's one of the things where we oftentimes see the Lulu kind of last pick, because then you ban away Thresh, Blitzcrank, and you don't have these issues. Missing has been always across his career really, really damn good on the Thresh, so probably going to see that one come through, and maybe we'll see that some of those hooks not missing in this game.
Taking their time, though. What do they want to pair with this Aphelios? Will it be the Blitzcrank? Have to be aware that if they don't lock something like that in here, it will probably get banned away, but jungle also could be priority. Thresh, still the premier pick, however.
Yeah, I mean, Thresh does make a lot of sense, especially with how much dive we've been seeing in general. It seems to be really, really popular. A lot of these kind of beefy comps that people are drafting with a lot of frontline obviously does have that dive. This can help to keep the Aphelios quite safe. Ahri obviously has a lot of mobility herself with the ulti. Lissandra makes a lot of sense. It's kind of the obvious answer that we've been seeing mostly to the Ahri, unless people want to go to something like a mid-Cassante or something along those lines and just go pure tank. But this is going to be really interesting. With BLG on the red side, you're expecting 5th pick for Bin. So it is kind of feeling like BLG's draft is leading towards carry top again for Bin, which is very much his style.
Yeah, and I think you talked about curveballs, but this first 3 is the vanilla ice cream of MSI drafting. I mean, maybe it's French vanilla. Maybe it's because, you know, the players are so good. Maybe it's got the little pieces of vanilla bean in it. But this is about as standard as it gets, boys. So we're going to have to see. I feel like top lane picks, jungle picks, obviously a lot of room to take premier options off the board. So maybe that's where we finally start to get to see some of those curveballs you talked about, some of those more unique carry options for a player like Bin.
Well, and I do really like the Gwen ban here. You know, this is something that we were actually talking about earlier, and I was saying, hey, if Bin is going to play carries, I would rather him play a carry that can also be strong in team fights, because it does feel like that is the meta now. It's show up at the objectives, it's look for the 5v5s. So yes, he is incredible on the Jax, but something like the Gwen really does fit the bill much more for those team fights. So I think it's intelligent for JDG. If you want to target carries, target the ones that are best in 5v5.
Yeah. Do they want to take away any of the options for jungle? Wukong Vi already banned away, expecting an AD jungler. You know, something like Viego has looked pretty solid paired alongside Lissandra. You do want some upfront burst damage to make sure.
Oh, he's watching you. Look out!
I'm intimidated.
I do like your point, though, on the Wukong, because Wukong has been such a big pick for Kanavi even over the course of the year. But okay, that's actually surprising. Sion
The
going to take
gauntlet
it away.
has been laid down. Not one that anyone expected, but there it is. He spammed in solo queue. Finally, we get to see it.
Well, and this is the curve. I mean, maybe not the most exciting curve, but this is kind of the curve.
This is the curve.
Bin, in both their series in the LPL, was all about the carries, and he was always on that side of the matchup. There was more pressure on him to get things done. I want to see, is Shun going to go towards something like a Kindred? Because they're relatively low damage, and he is so well known for his Kindred. I was really impressed by his play on it. He was undefeated in the regular season, did pick up quite a few losses in playoffs, to be fair, but was really, really good on it. And it's just kind of meatball versus meatball up in the top lane, so, you know, it's not going to be about the 1v1 there. Would Kanavi take it away? Would he take it away?
Okay.
He's saying, I know what you're going for.
He knows what he's going to play. He's calling it out right now. They've got a bit more damage on the side of JDG at this exact moment. Feeling good about the Xin Zhao, saying if you anticipating the Kindred, ready to go all in if he needs to. Instead, the Kha'Zix, very aggressive.
Also, really tough to deal with as Kindred. Actually, really, really difficult. If he gets a jump on you, he's going to be able to burst you down.
Okay!
Nidalee was not what I was expecting here at all.
I mean, it does play into the range, right? You can actually go and look, we can go for poke, we can have the range with the Jinx, but definitely as you talk about the jungle matchup, it's not wonderful.
And there's not a lot of poke, really. Like, sure, you have Jinx range, you could zap or whatever, but I like Nidalee when it's paired with Jace and Ezreal and things like that, and you can really overload or Varus, and it's really overloading on that poke. I think there's a lot of pressure on Shun to get things done early, but like, what is the setup here, guys? we have Lissandra route to try to set up your spears in team fights.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
there's no point in click CC. You don't have a good lane gank. Are you going top? No. Are you gonna go bot with Lulu gank assistance? No. Like, you can go mid with Ahri, but then you're doing double magic damage. Knight is gonna rush Mercs, and I feel like I don't think he's gonna get much done.
It's gigabit. You just land the Q. It's easy. Just hit the Q and then you get the set.
Pushing lanes.
And it's something that definitely BLG are going to be used to. Shun, when he came into the league, was known for his Kindred, one of the most banned champions against BLG, and for his Nidalee. He wanted to be that big carry style back even when he played on IG. So this is where BLG definitely want to try and play the style and are well used to it at this stage.
And of course, featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz is Bin and 369. Ultimately,
369 looking happy, but Ben was mad dogging
Bin,
us.
Bin, we'll see. You know, we'll see how this tank v tank matchup goes. It's a bit anticlimactic, but it ultimately gives room for other players to now show up and step up. And as you highlighted, early lane prio so big for the junglers, maybe a cheeky invade.
Yeah, they are looking like they're going to use the Sion for the level 1, and I think it does make sense. You know, when you are playing this Nidalee, you need to get some pressure, you need to get some sort of advantage. What will the response be from JDG? Because 369 is up on this top side, and they are going to spot out this ward, so they know that it has been spotted. It's 4-man invade, and nothing you can really do about this, to be honest.
And we have yet to see this strategy fail. We've seen teams be more prepared for it, but the Sion is always killing someone on the bottom side of the map. So we'll have to see if JDG are ready here.
Are they going to stay 3-man brush stack for this? This is actually interesting. I wonder if they're going to 3-man brush stack bot. You know, previously we had seen some teams actually try to push hard for the level 2 on through bot. I actually like this. On comes over and just uses the heal to actually put Yagao ahead in that trade. So it is an early heal down, but I think it's actually worth it if you can get the push there, because again, it's going to be so much about these winning lanes. They've already taken down one camp. Kanavi's trying to finish this. He's not going to be able to get the little Krugs though, and that's where all the gold is. He's Q start, so you're going to lose almost all this. He does get level 2 though.
Okay, Shun, level 2, red buff. Ooh, pulling the wave. Only 1 minute so far. They're going to need a bit more time to stack it up. We're going to be in the bottom lane for a while if they want to try to pull anything off. Yeah. TP back.
Oh, he's on ward. He's got to block this.
Missing. Ready.
Yeah, even the fact as well, Kanavi actually managed to get the W off the level 2 and steal away a lot of those small creeps as well. So Kanavi even isn't that far behind comparatively. Like, yes, the camp down, but it's not too bad. And you've actually managed to deny the dive on bot lane. So nice job by JDG there.
Yeah, not bad at all, but the reality is, it's like, Bin didn't lose much, right? It's a pushing wave. He TP's up top to actually catch most of that. So he loses 4 CS, a little bit of XP. Who cares? It's your Sion. So you're still going to be happy to get that advantage there for Nidalee. And as long as Yagao can actually keep the push top, if Bin can get something going up on this top side as well, Shun has the opportunity to just clear bot all the way up to top and just have a 2-camp lead, right? Like, he can basically do an 8-camp opening here and just try to take away those topside camps, not allow Kanavi to get that back, and that'll put the Kha'Zix down a fair bit of XP.
Yeah, and I think the only real way that you can punish this from the side of BLG is to punish Bin while he doesn't have TP, force him out of lane, you know, take more resources away from him. And while Sion ultimately won't care too much, he's a champion that can just sit back and go down in CS. It's a difficult thing to punish. I still think the Sion start is so oppressive, and while certainly JDG have handled it the best of any team we've seen, it's just a frustrating strategy to deal with.
Yeah, we see it so often every time the Jinx is in the matchup. The fact you can get the push, especially with the Lulu, just sets up so wonderfully for it. So I will be curious to see as this MSI goes on, if teams kind of figure out a better strategy to really deal with it, because it feels like, as you say, no matter what, you're going to have behind.
I mean, at a certain point, I think you almost have to just start anticipating it and start planning for the cross map, right? You know, Kha'Zix in this situation, if you try to start enemy red or do things like that, it would almost have to be a concerted effort to invade topside, get vision there, and try to start an enemy camps, and then you're kind of just accepting that you're going to be going in a cross map. But even then, that can work in the Sion team's favor, because if you're actually cross mapping, you're taking towards bot, and it's tank versus tank top. That's not really where the jungler wants to be. So it is really interesting. There are answers you can do, especially if you go for really strong early game champions that can kind of answer that fight. If you have an Olaf or something like that on your team, but that just hasn't really been what we've been seeing.
Yeah, look, I love the lane swap meta. You know, we just have to bring it back fully. You just
don't you curse us with that.
Hey, if Deficio was here, he'd tell you all about how EU figured it out. It was EU's credit, the lane swap meta. He would love that. I personally, never again. Don't bring it back.
Where's Krepo? We need to hear about how to take Krugs.
Kha'Zix had it figured out. Elk is in a bit of trouble here. Lantern going to bring Knight over the wall, just looking for the setup. Easy follow-up and a quick kill and first blood for JDG. A kill traded back, however, a bit disastrous to give that gold into the back pocket of Elk.
Yeah, Kanavi end up tanking it, and now you get the kill back. Hook, though.
Hook onto the Nidalee. Follow-up damage not quite there. Yagao in the area now. Ruler backing off, missing. Knight still in the area. 3 members for both sides, so the play will fizzle, but a lot of money that should have gone into Jinx's pocket didn't. The only really redeeming factor here is that she did get the kill gold.
Yeah, even on gold between Elk and Ruler, it is Knight, of course, who picked up the kill on the other side, so he is going to be the beneficiary there. But I do like JDG's position in this game already a lot. Yeah, jungle advantage is going to be in the favor of Sion, but we have not yet seen a Nidalee really be able to snowball an early lead into much of a meaningful advantage in the mid game and late game.
And I mean, what we have seen is really the AD carries have been the difference makers. And Ruler's now already 10 CS up. He's in a great spot. Kanavi does take a bit of damage, but should be totally fine. Like, you're still trying to keep your eyes on bot lane to see how much JDG can try and punish Elk.
Certainly is the case. Again, behind an XP a little bit as those waves went through, but I think should be fine overall. Elk just keeping the pressure on here. Ruler missing a lot of agency to maybe get a play kicked off while they have access to the Graviton. Kanavi, though, spotted an award means I don't really think there's going to be a great angle.
Sion is coming down, so I think BLG are going to try to bait this 3v3. They know that he's in the area. Will he actually step forward and try to make this play happen?
Right now, he's kind of waiting with bated breath, seeing if either side is going to get aggressive, is going to go for something. Ruler has the tools to lock down Elk. Still has the cleanse available, however. Not going to be too itchy on the trigger finger there, though. We'll just accept the route and walk away.
Yeah, a lot of time spent down here from both junglers, and it can become kind of this sunk cost fallacy where you've been saying so long you feel like you need to get something. So Sion has actually just bailed out. He's starting up the dragon, so it looks like it will be an uncontested BLG dragon where Kanavi has invested all this time towards bot side, is already down 15 CS, not going to be able to get the dragon. He's just going back to base to do his camps on top side.
Huge for Sion in this early game. They put him ahead, obviously, with the Sion start, but he's been able to keep that going forward, and so much time spent on the bottom side while he was able to assist in that kill, assist in that dive. It's Nidalee who's taking these early objectives and who's keeping up this jungle clear speed.
It's also really nice because this is pre-Herald spawn, so there's not even an opportunity for a trade.
Yeah, and I think a large portion of this now kind of comes down to Knight has been able to get the push in mid lane, but how much is he going to be able to try and influence the map from that state? I don't think you can really go towards top. It feels like a lot of it is going to be down towards the bottom side, but I'd love to see him trying to link up with Kanavi as he does get pushed. Now the level 6 is hit. See if you can try and get into the face of Sion, because if you manage to get a charm onto this Nidalee and she's isolated, you will blow her up in the enemy jungle.
Certainly will. Very vulnerable champion. Of course, Nidalee, when you get a start like this, is always going to feel good. AP jungler's clear speed just increases exponentially with those early items. See how much faster it can get. But yeah, Nidalee is a champion that you highlighted Feast or Famine. She's kind of the glass cannon. You know, you're going to have these great highlight moments where you hit that max range spear. We saw one on the Kanavi in the bottom lane. But most fights and most players struggle to find an impact outside of really bloody or really explosive early games.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Nidalee can be really strong in small-scale skirmishes. To me, the problem comes when you end up in 4v4s and 5v5. Like, great, you hit a spear and you want to jump in, but there's a Thresh in between you can play away. You can get charmed out of that. You can get knocked up or CC'd or stunned, and then you're just instantly going to be going down. So, you know, often you just get relegated to kind of being this spear bot. You're just throwing out the spears, trying to get something. And when there's someone like an Ornn who can just kind of stand in front and bodyguard, or even a lot of lifesteal in the ADs, it becomes really difficult to get more than that. So that's why it's so important to have this impact early. Yeah,
and also it's, we kind of hit on yesterday. Ox was telling me that the Ornn getting some major buffs that were kind of overlooked because it was a bug fix where his knockups used to be what's the word? Coded. That's the word I was looking for. Coded for as a stun and a knockup. So if you had Merc Threads or any sort of tenacity, you wouldn't get the duration on the knockup. But now with the bug fix, you're getting a huge amount of extra time added to that knockup. So definitely going to help out when you come into these team fights. If you're trying to get onto someone like Elk, having that opportunity to set up for the dive of Knight and Kanavi when you have that ultimate coming across.
And similarly, having the access to non-committal, you know, hard CC, the big thing about Sion, hold that thought. Coming in, Elk now trying to get the chompers down, but he's just getting cut down. Ruler ready to go forward. Easy kill on the bottom side for JDG. Nidalee coming in, but it's too little too late.
Yeah, really nicely done by missing. It's an easy setup there. Flash play, Lantern and Kanavi. They know there is no flash on Elk from that earlier tower dive, so there's no way out. They don't even need a hook to land. Sion shows up, but it's too little too late. And great, you hit the spear, but JDG are just going to reset anyway. There's nothing really to get done from it.
Sion throwing spears. He's landing them, and you're excited, London, but they're not killing anybody. One more spear?
Nope.
And this has got to be the, like, you know, you get those subreddits where it's like very satisfying videos where they cut things perfectly. where it's so close to being that. The rocket doesn't quite kill, the spear doesn't quite kill, nothing is finishing the job.
It's tough, and as you see, Ruler now, you know, more and more of an advantage being built up for him. And you know, when you look back to the series in the LPL, it was often so goes bot lane, so goes the game, right? You know, when Ruler gets ahead, it's very difficult to depend on any sort of mistakes from this guy in the 5v5s. Where JDG, I think, better than BLG, really do organize well in these team fights. They're very well coordinated. They create space for Ruler, and he always makes the most of it.
But that's the thing, like the team fight has definitely been about Ruler for JDG, but the actual early stages has generally been about Kanavi and how he conveyed, but missing that cause.
Here I'm missing. He might just try to burn down the Thresh, just instantly going to shred that life bar, taking an opportunity. The spear connects, BLG instantly follow up, the Herald in their eyes, but it's already been smited away. Yagao trying to keep the fight going, but keep your eyes on Ruler. The Aphelios so damn strong, he's got the backup. You're just walking into him, what's the rule, BLG? I think it's green, white, don't fight, but they're going to try to make it work anyway. Knight over the backside, huge damage. Ruler coming in, it's massive, my God, a disgusting fight in favor of JDG. BLG trading some blows back, but ultimately hugely in favor of the blue team.
That was a massive turnaround for JDG. They lose missing at the start, but it doesn't matter. Ruler, I've never seen that many chakrams on an Aphelios before, just tearing through people.
Yeah, he had him fully stacked up. He was slicing them down. Honestly, BLG were lucky to get out with even a couple.
Yeah.
Shouldn't Yagao got out with 10% or less on their health bars, and they lose Herald. So a disaster for BLG. Now a 2K lead here, only 11 minutes in. The Herald is still there to be dropped, so that is only going to increase. And Ruler and Knight are getting paid. Missing, yes, he is kind of separated out from the rest of the team. They do go in and actually get this kill, but they're not able to lock down anyone else. Knight escapes back towards the rest of the squad. Bin's ulti comes through, but he can't connect on anyone. The Herald is secured, and then in goes Yagao to actually try to burst down this Kha'Zix. They can, but look at Ruler, look at Knight, they're untouched.
Yeah, I mean, the fact you get that knockup, forcing the flashes from BLG into the pit, there's just nowhere really for them to escape. Elk trying to do his best, but there's just so many people diving him every which way.
It's just Sivir, I guess, at the same time. It's two champions. This man lets it rip. He knows what's going on. And it's so crushing, too, because you have a cooldown timer that they took off of objectives. The chakrams would have fed away, but Sion zooms by and he gets to reset the countdown and keeps an extra 5 going to the fight. He doesn't have an item completed. It hit 3.5K. That's not all right.
This is the disgusting thing about JDG, because when we think about them in the regular split, a lot of it was like, hey, we're going to try and play off of Knight and 369, set up for Kanavi to be the carry and do things like this.
Getting aggressive. On going to be in trouble now. Yagao coming over the wall looking for the counter engage. Wild growth now used. Hook going to connect under the Nidalee, but there's no follow-up. Kanavi going to get one in exchange. That's the reset. Frozen Thrall moving forward. Ruler, good guns for AoE, but not good for an extended fight. Yagao just continuing to step in. Shun ready as well. It's all magic damage, but it should be more than enough. The spear sidestep. It's clean for now. Finding the root, trying to turn it back. A bit of damage, but not nearly enough. Huge shutdown for the Nidalee.
Yeah, big chase down, and this is going to get BLG their second dragon. That was a needed win there. If they lose that fight, it's going to be so disastrous. So they are able to get that chase down. Yagao getting the slows with the Q, finding that route. Does have to commit the stopwatch, but allows Shun to get in, finish him off. Now 3-0 on this Nidalee. Will be their second dragon here on a very quick pace. So they're going to be hoping for a big soul for themselves. We'll see what they're going to have offered.
Yeah, I mean, they just spot on in River, think, oh, we can actually get the isolated damage, but just don't realize how quickly BLG can try and collapse. Yagao able to come across, and everything gets blown onto Ornn, who manages to get the wall growth, and suddenly your 3 members very overextended. Ruler can't really get into this fight as well because where everything's fighting. Knight has to piece out over the wall, and Yagao is just able to chase up in a moment as well to finish people off.
Yeah, I mean, the Q slows coming through there from Yagao allows him to close that gap. Ruler with a nice attempt on the turn, but the stopwatch is gonna say no.
And this is exactly what you want to see from this mid-jungle duo from the side of BLG, is landing the CC, using it to set up for the Nidalee, bringing in the big damage from a champion as strong as ahead as Shun is right now. Of course, have to keep that pressure on. Herald's going to get dropped in the mid lane, more plates to the back pocket of Ruler. Pretty snowballed pretty quickly. Gale Force expected first item here will be much more impactful in the fights to come.
And it definitely feels like for JDG as well, a lot of their opportunities to engage with 369 are just somewhat easier, right? We kind of pointed out on BLG's side, it's kind of difficult to actually set up for your team fight. You're heavily reliant on Yagao, or like, we're joking, like Bin getting the knock-up, right? Or even getting the ult, but you've literally got an Ornn there. It's super easy to try and set up for these engages and hit someone, especially if Elk doesn't have a flash or anything like that. He's just easy picking, so I like that JDG already have the ready carry in a great spot. Knight, terror when he goes to the dives, and it's just an easier setup for these guys to do their job.
I mean, one of the things that's strongest about Ornn Engage is that it's non-committal, right? You know, you call the horn, the ram comes out, if it misses, all right, no problem, you back off. On the other side, Bin is the ram. Like, he's got to send himself in. You can't get any more committed than that.
It's the same story for Yagao.
Yeah.
They're both the ramp. They both have to go in. Nice, like, okay, we can fish. I can throw out a charm. I blow you a kiss. Are you interested? Yes, no. You swipe left. All right, we back off the fight.
Passing notes in school.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you like me? Please check one.
Do you want to fight? Why? And, you know, like, you can get it kicked off. It's just so difficult for BLG now. If they can execute at a super high level, if they can get single targets, if they can isolate Ruler, you can make a fight happen, but it is all or nothing. And you need to know when you press that R button that you're going to win the fight.
And it doesn't really look like BLG are in a position to go for that right now. 2.5k goal lead for JDG. I think the next Rift Herald should be the way of JDG as long as they can try and keep pushing mid and start to play off Kanavi in the top side. But with Knight on bot lane, maybe there's an opportunity for BLG, but as you can see, Knight just having so much control over that map push up against Yagao.
Certainly does. Continue to put the pressure on. See what Yagao wants to pick up when he backs. Assume he'll just get an Everfrost of his own, but for now, just the turret slowly getting chipped away. Yagao gonna grab his Everfrost, but Knight very likely to grab that tower on the next wave or two.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, if Shun is able to complete the Zonias it looks like he's going for. He has the Seekers, you know, at a quick pace. Because that can allow you to go a little bit more aggressive in these fights. You know, hit a spear, dive in, try to get that killer, try to get a big chunk, then into the stasis. And if you have everyone piling in on top over that, that can kind of buy that space for you to then get out.
Yeah, and on the opposite side, El Cap to go for the Gale Force, so he can buy space for himself as well, right, from Knight, from Kanavi, but it does mean these beefcakes with both the Gale Forces in tow are going to last quite a little bit longer than if you had a Kraken Slayer or neither of these guys, so I think team fights are going to be very long fought unless one side can get access to these AD carries.
I mean, it really does raise the priority on LDR. You know, will we see people going towards that early? Because neither of the mid laners are great at killing tanks. Neither of the junglers want to be hitting tanks, right? It's really only up to these ADs. And as you say, there's no Kraken. So LDR, I do think, is going to be really, really important to deal with both these Jack Show tanks.
I completely agree, and I think the struggle for a Jinx who doesn't go Kraken is you pretty much always have to go an attack speed item second. Aphelios can just build BS sword items ad nauseum because of the way his kit works, so see how Elk wants to approach this from an itemization perspective. Yes, he's safer, but significantly going to hurt his damage output specifically, something to track in the future.
And I mean, if he is going to go towards, you know, an attack speed item, then that's really kind of pushing things back pretty far in your build. If you go towards something like a PD, which is great, you know, for actually getting that attack speed going, hitting those tanks, but you still need LDR, so that has to probably be on 3. Then you're waiting until 4 for your IE, which is going to be so late into the game, and that can be very, very difficult.
Certainly can be. For now, JDG again getting first setup, kicking this one off.
Ooh,
BLG, are they ready to respond? Over the wall. Can just look to throw down with blue ultimate. He's going to be picked up here. Are they going to actually be able to grab the Eye of the Herald? Over the wall is 369 from downtown again. Yagao already using the ultimate. The fight hasn't even kicked off. Ben out of mana completely. Kanavi in the backside. They find one, but it's right into the ult of Ruler. I think we saw this part already. And once again, JDG just finding the fight around the Herald. Zombie Ben will not be a Knight. Knight continuing to frontline here. Can just dash forward, leaping out, ready to blow him a kiss if he needs to. Spear going to connect. Ruler looking for the fall. The mark from downtown. Burn. Oh! Blinking health bar. Elk just barely able to walk away.
I mean, barely, but it's still a big win for JDG. The rocket fired out at the end just to try and get them off the turret, but the turret still fall, and again, BLG, they all flash into the pit, and Ruler's just waiting for them again.
Yeah, everyone is committing everything onto Kanavi, and sure, the Kha'Zix is a threat, but it's a 0-4 Kha'Zix, it's a 5-kill Ahri, it's a 4-kill Aphelios. Those are the guys you really have got to worry about here.
Doesn't matter about the size of the bug. The bug still needs to die, Azael, okay?
I mean, it's been tough, right? So they do get the secure early on here. You can see the ulti coming over the wall from 369 at the top of your screen, looking for that. Yagao goes into the self-stasis there, immuning the hook from missing, which is nicely done. And then Kanavi, as he steps forward to actually pick up the Eye, they all committed onto him. Everyone's flashing in, trying to kill him off, but it's right into the waiting arms of Ruler, who has the Inferno multi, splashing across everyone. They get shredded, and again, Knight untouched on the other side. Back to live now. BLG looking for Soul Point.
Trying to force a fight here.
Look at Knight, though.
Ruler, not very good guns, but he can swap off that purple, and it could be good. Knight on the flank is going to be big. Keep your eyes on that charm. Yagao looking to shut that flank down, but the charm will stop him from following up for now. Battle lines drawn. Dragon still healthy. Auto-attacking Ben. Back and forth. Ruler ready now for a fight. Herald being popped. Just going to offer an extra point of pressure here. Lines of scrimmage drawn again, looking to reset here. Yagao gonna find Knight off to the side. Mid laners trading cooldowns. Knight flashing out to safety. Kanavi in the pit, looking to burn this one down. Ruler, a similar story. Very slow fight. It's jungler versus jungler, and the dragon in the middle. The knockup gonna be big from 369, and Ruler again untouched on the backside. Ben taking out 369. Knight trying to take as much aggro as he can. Yagao looking for the follow up on the Ahri. Kanavi on the retreat for now. BLG are winning the fight, but Ruler looking to take down the objective. Ruler looking to secure the dragon with the help of Kanavi. Kanavi Will he go over the wall? Will he follow? It's been back and forth thus far, but now JDG can look to take over. They're marked. Will he take him down? The Shuriken's coming in. Ruler again taking over. JDG outplaying in the fight in the extended brawl. They take the dragon. They come out on top, and they're killing everybody.
JDG are saying the finals was not a fluke. Game 1, they are popping off in these fights, and Ruler, he does not miss with these Calibrum Qs.
It has been all about the team fights for JDG, and they are crushing BLG here. Knight is just drawing so much pressure on this bottom side. He'd already gotten the ult out of Lissandra. Missing goes in, gets that hook on Elk. He has to go for the immediate cleanse and flash, but the redirected ulti there, the dying breath from 369 knocks it through him. They're able to knock down the front line there from Bin, and then as the dragon is secured, again, look at Ruler, untouched this entire time. He knows he can look to push forward. There's the evolved W for the slows here from Kha'Zix, so he's moving up. Knight has still survived this entire time, and then the ulti over the wall there. Connecting on, able to get that final shot to kill off Missing, and there's no shot for Elk here.
And again, commanding fight, but I don't think it's ever been correct in the history of Ruler's career to not blow him up in a fight. Like when he's allowed to run free, you could see full confidence there, fantastic fights, and of course it's a team-wide effort. But now at this point, BLG, massive deficit. They are so far behind, it's so far hard to find the setup, and you can see Bin now kind of desperately fishing, coming in through Fog of War, maybe can find an angle to get a fight started. No. The team now going to re-engage anyway. Kha'Zix going over the wall, isolating, but they're fighting into the funnel. Ruler with waiting arms is just going to start picking up kills. BLG, desperation times, but it's costing them so much. Bin a perfect frontliner, but Elk can't auto. Elk can only slow the W over the wall. He can't get anything else done. That's 2 kills for the Aphelios. There's no fight to be had, and BLG are going to be forced to back away.
I mean, the battle lines were just perfect there for JDG as Yagao's going to look, but now the turnaround.
Overcommitting, instant turn and burn. Kanavi going to find one. Elk, charm from over the wall. Ruler now godlike. And JDG, again, just keep coming ahead in these fights.
They are crushing him, and they can just go straight to the Baron. The Baron is spawned. It's almost 22 minutes into the game, and they're going to look right towards it. The setup on the fight was just perfect for JDG. Bin is going into this kind of concave where his AD can't hit their front line, but their entire team is hitting him.
Yeah, and the fact as well that you got Missing with the hooks every time he tries to wind up the Q, just preventing any sort of damage coming out from Bin. So easy fight for JDG, and I mean JDG, they had an all right time against the BLG in the finals and in their series, but this is a different story. This is absolute decimation.
I mean, this is completely one-sided. 22 minutes in, it's a 10K gold lead. And just look at this angle right here. JDG is going to be able to actually kite back and just kind of play in this area. You know, as we see them going forward, look at Ruler, look at Knight. It's this firing line right here, are untouched the entire time. And yes, BLG are trying to pile in, but Elk on the other side is just never really getting access to that back line. It's just such a good setup from JDG. They kite back into that area perfectly.
And I think it's just a great read from JDG as well, because they couldn't spot where Bin was on the map. So they're like, okay, well, let's just kite into where we have vision. Let's kite into where we're safe as safe as we can be, and just make sure that there's no way for any funny business to happen. And they read it perfectly. Bin tries to find the flank, but JDG have already just nested themselves safely into that nook.
And now things are only going to get harder, and you've seen it over the last 2 fights. When, you know, Bin or Yagao go, the entire team kind of has to go, has to follow up. And you saw even at the end of that fight as well, Yagao thought maybe there's an angle for a turn, maybe Ruler's over sec. He was wrong. It cost him his life. And on, the map is getting darker and darker. There are not a lot of places you can walk right now where JDG will not just one-shot you, especially with Kanavi, who, while he's been focused in so many fights, is still a big threat to a lot of the squishier members on the side of BLG.
Absolutely. I mean, the only person who can face check anything is Bin, and even then, at this point, he is going to be under a lot of threat himself. You know, 369 now hitting 14. He's going to be able to start upgrading his teammates' mythics. There's the first one already coming through for Ruler. So the gold lead is even bigger than it tells you.
Walking in, the Ornn has been blown, and they're looking to take BLG out of this game. One Knight over the wall in an instant. Everfrost not going to find any purchase. Ruler throwing down big damage with those Calibrum Qs. Moonshots coming in clutch. Bin now isolated. BLG need to follow up here. They're just going to lose the game, but there's no follow-up. There's no room to do anything whatsoever. JDG just choking BLG out of this game, keeping the damage, keeping the pressure. They do not want to give them a single glimmer of hope. That's half his health. That's a 3-item Ruler at 24 minutes. There is no option here for BLG. They get maybe one shot to combo everything, but yeah, JDG not going to let it happen. Lissandra going for the re-engage. JDG just going to set their eyes on the prize, set their eyes on the Nexus. This is the most dominant game 1 we've seen from JDG in a very long time. Ruler now legendary, 11-1-6. At this point, they're just stab padding because they can end the game whenever they damn well please. JDG kicking off with an incredible showing here in game 1.
And incredible stuff from JDG. Play around Ruler, get the 80 carry fed, and let Ruler pop the hell off. It's been a story of MSI, but now it's a story for JDG as well.
Absolutely. JDG looking so clean in the 5v5s in this game, and that really is their bread and butter. They play these fights so well, they position incredibly well, they're always protecting their carries. In almost every 5v5, it just felt like Knight and Ruler were completely unthreatened, so there's no real way that BLG were going to win the fight.
I think it has been really interesting to see, though, how, like, in the regular split, we see JDG trying to play, like, around Kanavi. Let's go from base. Let's try and set up Kanavi for success. And it's kind of like, look, Ruler is there as our insurance option. He's going to be phenomenal in the team fights anyway, but a lot of what was gained for Ruler and missing was just through their own solo dominance in the lane. This was, hey, look, we know how the meta is shifting. Let's actually give Ruler these resources. And, I mean, you see the results. That was outstanding.
And I'm so interested now, because this is a big pivot for Bin to be playing the tank versus tank matchup, right? You know, in the LPL playoffs, it was always him on carries, Shun playing towards him. He got a lot of solo kills, plus a lot of focus from the jungle pressure, so they were able to create big advantages. It didn't always result in the wins, but it did result in a lot closer games. So I do wonder now, do you start to doubt the prep or the read that, hey, we need Bin on tanks after this game one that was not close at all, where Bin really couldn't have an impact? And
I think that's the thing. You kind of see the two big picks that you'd look for in the top lane taken away from Bin. Kennen was immediately banned, then we got the Gwen in the follow-up as well. So you kind of open up, as you were saying, Azael, a lot of these tank matchups, because you don't really have to worry about any big threats. So do you just go back to Jax? Maybe that's the call, or Camille even, which is one of Bin's favorites.
Maybe prioritizing him sooner in the draft, because Lissandra came out and yeah, probably would have banned away, but we've seen so many pretty solid answers into Ahri that I don't, like, being so keen to get to Lissandra doesn't make as much sense to me, given that it's been, compared to Ahri at least in this series and in a lot of series, relatively low impact.
I'd actually love to see them go back to what has been a bit of a tried and tested one for them, which is like, hey, look, let's stick Bin on Camille. Like, for anyone who doesn't know, his entire solo queue ID is I love Camille, so he's definitely a big fan of that. Plus, you go with the Galio, then you can actually go for a dive play onto the AD carry. I think that works well.
We'll have to find out. Clearly something needs to be adjusted as we head forward, but that's enough from us. Let's send it back over to the analyst desk.